Welcome to Everything is Final Fantasy. I'm Ira Kriesman.
And I'm Drew Kriesman.
And on this episode, Magic the Gathering is Final Fantasy. Very specifically, Final Fantasy X. Last time we talked about the cards for 8 and 9, and now we're on to 10. And 10 is one of the games that got a commander deck, which means there are 121 cards.
We're
not going to talk about all of them. We're going to skip over a few here and there.
Boo.
Well, there are some that are less,
That'd be a bit much.
For example, we don't need to go in depth about how Arcane Signet, a card printed in basically every commander deck, is Tidus's little charm that he wears around his neck. We don't need to get into that.
It's so cute.
It is cute. It's nice. And I like that for commander decks, they've chosen how to do the various talismans and signets and soul rings and stuff, but flavor them in such a way as to be for that particular property in Universes Beyond. For Doctor Who, like the Fourth Doctor's scarf is the talisman of whatever, inspiration or something. And I think that's great. So to go in alphabetical order, the first card in Final Fantasy X is Al Bhed Salvagers. For 2 and a black, you get a 2/3 human artificer warrior. Whenever this creature or another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Being able to sacrifice your artifacts and creatures to have your opponents lose life is a classic strategy they call Aristocrats. Aristocrats.
Everybody wants to be a cat. Right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
An Offer You Can't Refuse was first printed in the Mafia set, set on New Capenna. And in this case, it's when Tidus is first... I think this is meant to be when Tidus is first found and taken aboard a ship.
Yeah. Oh, since we are starting to talk about the story, and that's the very beginning. This is probably a good
forgot to do
point.
the thing.
It's okay. I know. We've been talking. There's 178,000 cards to talk about, so we should issue a spoiler warning at this point. We haven't said anything, and I don't know that we're going to get too deep into it, but this is actually the first time that Ira and I are going to be able to have a longer conversation about Final Fantasy X. We're still on 9 in our run of longer episodes. And while there's only a little bit, from what I understand in here, that's super spoilery, I think it's going to be tough. I just generally think it's tough to have an in-depth conversation about Final Fantasy X if you don't know everything that happens. And so if you've not played the game before, this is probably not the best. Or unless you don't plan to and you don't mind that we're going to spoil it and you just want to hear about the magic cards, that's fine too. But just know that there's a high degree of possibility that we're going to talk about certain moments in Final Fantasy X that are very spoilery. But yes, this moment with Riku and Tidus is from the very beginning of the game when he first... I suppose, again, spoilers, gets teleported into the world of Spira.
We talked about the Arcane Signet, so moving on to Auron's Inspiration.
Wow. Look at the artwork on this thing. Auron in the background because maybe he's a ghost or something.
Could be. I like this.
This is cool.
So as a card, attacking creatures get +2/+0 until end of turn. It's got flashback, so you can cast it again from your graveyard. But it's that flavor text, Drew. You want to give it a go?
Oh, okay, I'll do my best. I don't know that I can do the voice. No, I don't know. Let's just see what comes out. Okay. Now is the time to choose. Now is the time to shape your stories. Your fate is in your hands.
Yeah.
More of a reinterpretation, but yeah. Oh, man. And I like that you pointed out, I can't remember if it was in the 7 or 8, 9 episodes, about the flashback.
Right.
That Final Fantasy does flashbacks and memories and remember whens so often, and that's incorporated here. And it would have to be in the Final Fantasy X set, and that is with Auron's inspiration, his memory, powering the team. I'm getting emotional already. We're on card 2. All right, let's go.
Auron Venerated Guardian. So he gets his own card. He's a human spirit samurai. Drew, he's a
Spoilers.
Spirit.
See?
You're right.
They started it. I love
he's
it.
He's a 2/5 with Vigilance and Shooting Star. Whenever Oran attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. When you do, exile target creature defending player controls with power less than Oran's power until Oran leaves the battlefield. So he's going to temporarily remove threats.
Cool.
We've got a card called Blitzball.
As well we should. I haven't counted before any other. So we had Triple Triad. What were the mini games that got cards?
Oh, there are 5 side quests, some of which we've seen. There was the side quests are Catch a Fish from 15. In blue, it's collecting cards from 14. In black, it's Hunt the Mark, I think from 12 or 13. So you haven't seen all these yet.
Cool.
In red, we'll see that one here in 10. And then the green one was Raise a Chocobo from 7.
Right. But yeah, so, and then some of the other mini games have gotten it. Like, I love these little things.
Right. And so, and also like the Golden Saucer got a card, right? But yeah, acknowledging these games within a game. When we get to 14 and we talk about card collection in your card collecting game, I'm going to geek out all over it. But Blitzball can tap for 1 mana and has the ability... Goal!
Well done. Yeah, good.
Sacrifice this artifact, draw 2 cards, activate only if an opponent was dealt damage by a legendary creature this turn. So only if you've scored against your opponent can you draw those cards.
Fantastic.
Blitzball Shot is an instant that pumps your creature and gives them trample. Not bad.
Waka looks good in that art. That's good.
He does. That's good art. Blitzball Stadium is an artifact that lets you put +1/+1 counters on creatures and 3 tap until end of turn. Target creature gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card for each kind of counter on it. So again, if you're scoring against your opponent, right? If you're hitting your opponent, you're getting a benefit. You're scoring, you're getting points.
Cool. I like that. I like that interpretation. It's difficult to work fictional sport into a card game that is theoretically about real combat, but I like it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that because in a world like Lorwyn, for example, where it was much more whimsical, fairy tale, Celtic stories, it wasn't as intense until they went to the dark side of the world, and then it was much more intense, right? So there's a school set called called Strixhaven set on a plane called Arcavios. And it's a school, and they have there's a mage ball tournament or whatever, right?
Sure.
So they do aim, they look for ways to represent situations that aren't always intense combat.
I like that.
Next, we've got Bread for the Hunt, as represented by a pair of Ronso, and one of the Ronso has a shortened horn.
Imari.
And so again, this is a card that is being reinterpreted for Final Fantasy X, and so I think that's pretty cool.
And I like the art again. That's got a lot of action in it, movement. Love it.
Chocobo Knights, and you'll recall, Drew, when we talked about Bartz and Boko, that their type line was human bird.
Human bird, yeah.
But here we've got human knight.
Yeah, why no human bird?
Because when they do mounted characters, unless the mount is especially important to the character, like unless it's a character in and of itself.
Okay.
So sometimes you'll get like a guy riding a dragon, and it's the guy and the dragon. Or maybe you got a guy riding a dragon, and the dragon's the important one, and the rider isn't. So in this case, right, the chocobos are not the focus.
Rude, but fair enough. I like that Boko gets special designation more than I like that these chocobos are somehow not important.
We've got Sid, Timeless Artificer again. All the Sids from 2 to 16 get to be on Timeless Artificer.
Love it.
Collective Effort. This is another reprint. But it's that big scene when they're sliding down the cables to rescue Yuna from her stupid wedding.
Yep. Oh, this artwork. I love this so much. It's such a fantastic interpretation of the scene. I'm not even sure it's a direct screenshot right out of it. It may well be, but it is for something that I have seen many times in my life. To see it given this fresh, new look and feel and interpretation and kind of viewpoint here. Like, this is so cool.
We get combat tutorial. For 2 generic and a blue, you get a sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. And the flavor text, Drew, is...
Clueless, aren't you? Good thing I'm here. Not my best Lulu, but I feel like I could have done better. I'll give it some work.
I was going to say, I knew immediately who you were speaking for because she's on the card.
Sure.
And her name's on the card. But not bad. Sort of a deadpan, sardonic, not bad at all.
I love Lulu.
We talked in other episodes about how there are a set of these staple RPG moments on cards. So combat tutorial, random encounter, battle menu. And I just think that's great. What do you think of this vision of Xanarkand on Command Tower?
Just like I was saying about the scene where they're sliding down from the airship to the wedding, this is another one where I could tell immediately that is Xanarkand. It looks and feels like something I've seen before, but like from an angle I've never seen it, or maybe as somebody from one of the towers is painting the rest of the city from their vantage point or something. It's just, again, such a great reinterpretation of a concept I've seen many times before.
I want to talk about the card Destroy Evil. This is a reprint.
Okay.
And it's usually like I think the first time it was printed, it's a Serra Angel destroying a Phyrexian demon thing.
Right on.
In this case, though, so speaking of spoilers, well, actually, let's set things up a bit. On Spira, when people die, they almost immediately become undead, but not in like a horrible, haunting ghost, shambling zombie sort of way. Their spirit self remains in existence and tactile, unless they are sent by a summoner to the far plane. And if they stick around for too long, they'll become monsters.
Right.
So it's possible for people to stick around for a while and not... You know that moment in the zombie movie where it's like, oh no, I was bit an hour ago.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like that, but more gentle.
Yeah.
So what is this art, Drew?
This art is Yuna sending Seymour, which is fantastic. Now, normally when Yuna performs her sendings, right, it's a very somber moment. It's essentially a spiritual or religious ceremony in this world. When people die, a summoner comes and performs the sending, and their souls get to pass on to this sort of peaceful and serene other side that they call the far plane, right? And if they don't, like Ira said, they become monsters. So it's this beautiful moving thing most of the time, but Seymour has more than overstayed his welcome by this point in the story. If you fought him all 4 of his most frustrating fights in Final Fantasy history, and this is one of the most cathartic moments because of it. And so yeah, when she performs this sending, it's not a somber celebration of life, but it is we finally got the guy. Okay, I landed on guy.
Endless Detour is another reprint, and this time it represents poor Riku and her fear of lightning.
Oh no. And also, I'm going to count this as another minigame card.
Yes, very good.
It's the dodging the lightning. Oh, that we had a jump rope card, didn't we?
No, but we can see that square in Lindblom.
Okay.
At one point, I think.
Should have had a jump rope card. Man, that's brutal. More.
And you'll notice
I'm just that Kylo Ren meme with all this stuff.
Oh God. And and so you notice we got a triple triad card, but we did not get a Tetramaster card.
As well should be. This is correct. Excellent decision. Whoever made that, whatever room, whoever did that, well done, and a hat tip to you.
All right, let's talk about the card Farewell. Farewell was first printed in Oh, what is this? Was that a Modern Horizons card? No, it was earlier than that.
Yeah.
Maybe that was in Kamigawa. Anyway, it's a fairly recent card. And for 4 generic and 2 white, you get a sorcery. It says, choose one or more. So you can choose any of these you want. Exile all artifacts. Exile all creatures. Exile all enchantments. Exile all graveyards. It's an excellent card. It's maybe too good. But it's a very impressive card, one I've got a couple copies of. And it usually gets pretty expensive. But that's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Now, in the Doctor Who set, when David Tennant was done with his run as a Doctor, he did a big farewell. His Doctor went and saw all the previous companions and said thank you and wished them luck. And he got Captain Jack a date, and he got Donna a winning lottery card and said goodbye to Wilf. And it was very sweet. And at the end, the Doctor says, I don't want to go. And then he becomes Matt Smith. And it's very sweet and very heartfelt. Now for Final Fantasy X, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Wizards of the Coast did a pretty darn good job not getting too deep into the spoilers of how this game ends. But the scene they chose, if you know what you're looking for.
Right. It is that scene aboard the airship during the final moments of Final Fantasy X, where Tidus walks up behind Yuna and embraces her. And now, the way it's depicted here, it could just be 2 people holding each other. He's not, again, spoilers, translucent. He's not doing the moment where he can't actually hold her. Like, it's just one of the most remarkable and heartbreaking images that I've ever seen. And it's like right before that, which is also heartbreaking. It also is phenomenal to me. This might be from a lore standpoint, because I don't understand Magic the Gathering, but I do understand Final Fantasy. And from a lore standpoint, this might be my favorite card in the entire set, because the exile all artifacts or creatures or enchantments, graveyards, is a reference to what Yuna has to do in the end when she performs the final sending, which, again, spoilers, right? So we're invoking so much here. Yes, we've got the tragedy of Tidus and Yuna right in front of us, but it's also invoking the tragedy of her having to send all of the summons, all of her friends, all of the other unsent, which includes Auron. Everything that you have to say goodbye to in the end of this extraordinarily tragic story. And so it's referencing everything that led up to that moment as well, that it's not just the 2 of them in the power here. And then there's the flavor text, which is not from this moment, but from much earlier in the story, which makes this card kind of its own unique interpretation of the Final Fantasy X story, because the moment here is and I love you and that kind of moment. The flavor text at the bottom comes from their moment at the lake when they first admit that they have feelings for each other, and after they make out in the water and Tidus has just learned that the end result of Yuna's pilgrimage is for her to die. And she says to him this flavor text: "Stay with me until the end, please." And maybe my favorite thing about this card is what's not on it, which is the next line, which, if you know it, Tidus responds, "Not until the end, always." Damn, that's a good card, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Yeah. Gee whiz. Magic cards don't usually get me emotional.
Dude.
I mean, a little bit, but, it depends. But my goodness.
Yeah. Wow.
Ah.
What a piece of artwork that is. Whew. Okay.
Well, from that, let's move on to fight rigging.
Sure. Hey, check out the team.
Right, and this is another reprint from the Mafia Gangster set, and it's flavored as, did they kidnap Yuna and we've got to we got to throw the match or something?
I think so, yeah.
It's been a while since I played that part.
Yeah, some of the middle parts are still a little bit. It's been a minute.
The Forge of Heroes has that little temple off to the side of the plains where you can, like, I think, make your own monsters and fight them over and over again. Forgotten Ancient is some kind of creature that needs to be sent to the far plane. Generous Patron is an audience member in a Blitzball match. Grateful Apparition is the little hooded faith boy.
Yeah. You can't tonight.
Yeah. All good reprints with fun, interesting interpretations through the Final Fantasy X lens.
Yeah.
Then we get Ice Flan. I'm glad we got at least one of these elemental oozes into Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it would have been weird not to have Flan.
It's so weird that they're named after desserts, though.
I realized I said that out loud. I was like, some people were like, what?
The oozes in Final Fantasy are frequently named after desserts. There are puddings. I don't think there are jellos, but pudding and flan is our frequent Final Fantasy monsters. And this one is an elemental ooze, 5/4. When this creature enters, tap target artifact and creature an opponent controls, which is often what ice magic does in Magic, and put a stun counter on it. And it's got island cycling, so you can tap 2 and discard it to find an island, because it costs 6 total, and sometimes a big cost is too much in the beginning of the game, so you can cycle it to get an island instead.
Right.
We also get Ice Magic for 1 and a blue instant, and it's one of those tiered spells, right? So Blizzard, Blizzara, Blizzaga, each of which does more to freeze out opponent creatures.
Yeah.
We get Idyllic Beachfront. I'm pretty sure this is Besaid.
Yeah, that's
with
cool.
the Blitzball in the foreground, right? The big surging elemental summon Tidus to Spira orb is Inexorable Tide, another reprint. And then we get to my second favorite reprint of the Final Fantasy X bunch, Inspiring Call.
I was going to say I lied. Farewell's not the best one. This one's the best one. This is the best one.
What's that flavor text, Drew?
The flavor text is ha 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 ha.
It's so good. I love this moment in Final Fantasy X, and I know it's been memed to death, and every time someone posts about how bad this scene is, dozens upon dozens of people now answer the call and say, no, you need the context. It's a brilliant scene.
'Tis well known to those who know at this point, and so again, that's one of the ways that you as the creators of this set let us know that that you included it as a fun, heartfelt tribute and not as some kind of mocking thing or it's like, yeah, we know it's a meme, but hey, this is fun.
We get Jecht, Reluctant Guardian.
Sure, Reluctant Guardian is so good.
It could have been Jecht, Arrogant Asshole.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that part.
Abusive father.
What a prick.
Jecht, comma, what a prick.
I have already built a Tom Bombadil Saga Creature Final Fantasy Summon Commander deck. And I put him in it, and then I took him back out. I'm not sure he's going to work with the deck, but I do think he's interesting because, like Terra, he can transform into a summon, which is cool. So he starts out as a legendary creature human warrior with menace, and whenever he deals combat damage to a player, exile it and return it transformed. And on the back side, he has a legendary enchantment creature, Saga Nightmare, Braska's Final Aeon.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a 7/7 with menace.
Compare Jecht to Terra?
Well, in that he can turn into a summoned monster.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you're on record as having done that. I get it, and you're not wrong. I just want you to know what you've done.
Well, she in her magic card form gets to switch back and forth, whereas Jecht does not.
Okay.
And his first 2 chapters are each opponent discards a card and you draw a card, and his third chapter is each opponent sacrifices 2 creatures of their choice, and then he's done. He's gone. I mean, sort of. We've also got Sin cards. So.
The team looks so small next to him.
Oh yeah,
Huge.
way down on the platform.
Huge. It's amazing.
Next, we get Kamari, Valiant Guardian, a legendary
Man.
creature cat warrior. What do you
Look
think of
at
that art?
This thing. That's some of my favorite Kamari art of all time. That looks so rad.
Yeah, I really like the sort of looming monster who he's channeling in the background. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool too. As technically a blue mage, right?
Right. Well, so he's a 3/3 legendary creature cat warrior with vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Kamari and tap target creature an opponent controls. Then you may have Kamari become a copy of that creature, except its name is Kamari and it has vigilance and this ability. So he gets
Gotcha.
to get stronger, tap down a creature, and then become that creature. So you pick their best creature and copy it for a turn, and I think that's pretty darn cool.
I bet there are already jokes about how this card is more useful in Magic than Kamari is in Final Fantasy X.
So rude. So incredibly rude.
Very rude.
Lord Jiskel Guado got a creature card.
Hell yeah. Why not?
He is also a spirit. Spoilers.
Oh, right.
So at the beginning of each end step, if you put a counter on this creature this turn, investigate. And investigate means create a clue token with a specific ability. So because he's giving you information about what's really going on in Guado Salam.
Like it.
We get Luna, Stern Guardian. Not Reluctant Guardian, Stern Guardian. She's a blue creature, which I think is interesting. They did a whole thing with the Final Fantasy IX cards where black mages are 0/1s that deal a damage to each opponent every time you cast a non-creature spell. And I've already built a red-black deck for that. That works okay.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But they went more with her sort of debuffing, I think. So in this case, she's a 2/3 legendary creature human wizard. Whenever an opponent attacks, you choose target creature attacking you, put a stun counter on it, on that creature. And then she's got, for 3 and a blue, proliferate, which means choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each of them a counter of each kind already there. So she can stun your opponent's creatures when they attack, and then she can put more stun counters on things, or she can actually buff your party in this version.
Cool. Interesting. I'm not 100% sure that works with her black mage abilities. It's kind of fun, and I guess it's probably something that works better with the Magic set. So, as a big Lulu fan, I'm not sure I love this card, but I don't hate it. I don't know enough, I guess, to hate it.
Yeah, I think it has the potential to be a useful card in general. I don't think it will get played much outside of Final Fantasy Limited.
Yeah.
But you're right. As an interpretation of Lulu, I think it's fine. As an interpretation of a black mage, I think it leans into the debuffing side of black mages.
Yeah. Which is maybe just not how I use them, so maybe that's where the disconnect is coming from. Like, I just use her to blast fools with, like, fireballs and lightning, man. I don't know. Let me let her, fair enough.
I did really like the Saboteur archetype out of 13. I thought that was really interesting, and it gave me a new appreciation for stun, poison, slow effects.
Yeah, I think anything where you can more automate combat too, I get more into debuffs and things like that. But yeah, interesting.
Master Seymour.
Boo.
Yeah, this freaking guy again. For 2 and a green, you get a 1/3 legendary creature, human elf cleric.
It makes him sound so nice and fun and rad. Like that would.
So
what is he, Elrond?
So in Magic, when you've got your half elves and such, you get both the human and the elf on the type line. I didn't really think though that the Guado were elf parallels until now.
Yeah, it wasn't until you mentioned to me the thing about the Q from Final Fantasy IX being the only ones to get their own race. I was like, you could have done it with several. Now, I imagine that could really complicate the mechanics or whatever of
Sure.
it. So I don't, want to just say, why not just do it with a bunch of them? But I definitely thought of several others that is like, but is Elf the closest thing to Guado? Probably.
Well, and they're very nature aligned. They're very in tune
Yeah.
with the spirit world.
Right.
Sort of, some of them. And they're really into their trees. So I guess so. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't hate it.
Really into their tree.
Well, and
Because they
and
live
so,
in the, you see.
Yeah, no, I know what I said. I feel the same way about this as I do Tonberry being a salamander horror.
Yeah, me too.
So he's got, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Master Seymour's power on another target creature you control. So he's going to buff up his allies. And then for 3 and 2 green, Monstrosity X, where X is the number of counters among creatures you control. So he builds up other creatures, and then he takes that power for himself when he becomes monstrous. And monstrous means if this creature isn't monstrous, put X +1/+1 counters on it, and it becomes monstrous. And that just means that you can't do it more than once. So he's
Right.
going to he's going to build up the team, and then he's going to use the team's power to make himself more powerful, which is appropriate, I think.
Yeah, that one makes a lot more sense than the Lulu one.
Hey man, look who got a card.
I know. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Owaka, traveling merchant.
And he's going to go in my Tom Bombadil Summoner deck because he has
Oh.
tap, remove a counter from a non-land permanent you control, draw a card. So I'm going to remove those the lore counters from my Saga creatures so that they can run their chapters again and stick around on the battlefield longer.
Oh man, I just love that you put Owaka in a Tom Bombadil deck. That's just so like what a match made in heaven, if ever.
Wouldn't they
there's
be
a
pals?
place. Yeah, absolutely. The traveling merchant who just shows up wherever you need him. Hey, look, it's Owaka. I'm so happy he got a card.
Next we have Overkill, and I love this card. And again, I've already got a red-black Black Mages deck, and this is in it just to kill opponents, just to control the board. Target creature gets -0, minus
Whoa.
9,999 until end of turn.
Whoa,
Yeah, I love it.
that's cool.
And one of the things that's really useful about it is you could just say destroy target creature. But there's an ability that a lot of creatures have these days called indestructible. I say these days as though Mirrodin wasn't like 20 years ago.
In the modern times.
Yeah. Anyway, the point being this gets around indestructible. And so I like that quite a bit.
Dude, I cover baseball. When we talk about the modern era, we're talking about like post 1968.
Excellent.
So,
We've got Path to Exile, featuring Tidus getting sucked up into the void that Sin creates in modern Xanarkand.
Yeah.
Heavy quotes around modern Xanarkand.
Yeah.
So, Drew, when you look at the card Promise of Loyalty, what do you hear?
Sure. Right. Images you can hear. Magic cards that you can hear. Yeah, no, fair.
Yeah.
It's funny because it took me a second to find it on my screen, and then the second I did is...
You remember that concert we went to, and when they first started playing this song, and the whole crowd just sighed?
That was one of the most amazing, audience experiences I've had. And remember, I work at a baseball stadium, so
Right. Yeah.
there have been some interesting ones. But yeah, and it was like the middle of the show too, and the conductor had been announcing some songs ahead of time, and people would cheer, oh, we're going to get to hear that, and they would cheer for each one. And there was no announcement there. They just started playing the beginning of To Xanarkand, and however many people, 1,000, 1,500 people in the audience, or whatever it was, just let out this collective, oh.
Yeah. Oh man. So just to describe it, it's the beginning scene with all the weapons jammed in the little mound, and and it's Tidus's opening line of "Listen to my story." So good.
Oh man, I don't know if you remember. If after the sigh, you remember there was like a smattering of laughter as we were all kind of laughing at ourselves for
Yeah.
what a bunch of sentimental goobers we are.
Only in the best way.
Yeah, exactly.
We get protection magic. I like that the various standard spells of Final Fantasy get name of it magic, and they're not all tiered. Ice magic is tiered, thunder magic, fire magic, but then we just get protection magic, which is put a shield counter on each of up to 3 target creatures, which is great.
Yeah. I do love that the flavor text on this one is one of the things that she says when she cast stuff. Remember in Final Fantasy X, they would shout out random things as they did stuff, and some of them are a little silly. But Armor of Light, Halt Physical Might is kind of fun.
It's pretty good.
It sounds like something Storm might say in the 1990s
Or
X-Men.
Shantoto.
You're right. Oh, totally. Yeah, with the rhyming. Sure.
Now I want to talk about the card labeled here, the title here, Stay With Me, because we're getting back to what you were talking about with Farewell.
Yeah.
Now, it's playing the part of Rhystic Study, which is a famous, very powerful, very useful, very expensive card, which is whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. So then, on your turn, if you ever play against this, you're going to be asked a lot, so do you pay the 1?
Right.
Because they only get to draw a card if you don't pay the 1.
Gotcha.
But I just think this is a beautiful scene. It is. They pulled screen grabs for the Through the Ages cards, and some of them don't look great. I've got, what do they call it? A Promise Fulfilled, which is Rinoa falling into the arms of Squall, and it's a screen grab of that moment. And I love that moment, but it doesn't look great on a Magic card without any sort of framing or text box. I'm not sure the way they did this was great for every screen grab, but this one I think looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
I'm not sure how much it lines up with the ability.
I was wondering that as well. I was like, I don't know what any of that has to do with Confessions of Love and making out underneath the stars and in the water, but it's nice.
It's a nice moment. It's a nice looking card. You know, I won't be able to buy a single of it because it's going to be enormously expensive. But I would play it if I did.
Fair enough.
All right, so I kind of hoped the Shoe Puff guy would get his own card.
Right.
And he kind of did. He kind of did, right? It's not a creature card.
Yeah, they didn't spell this correctly. It says the.
Right.
It should be right. The Shoe Puff. Nitpicky.
But if you look at the flavor text.
Oh!
How about that?
So it's right there. It says, Ride the Shoe Puff, all aboard. But, okay, fine. I half rescind it, but why not just name the car? Oh, whatever, fine.
It is interesting. They don't typically do dialect on titles, but every once in a while they'll start breaking some of those rules. For a long time, there was no punctuation on titles either. So
okay, I guess if the card is from the perspective of you, the player, you ride the Shoe Puff. The driver's the one who says it. That fine. No, you know what? No, I stand by. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. It's fine.
So we got Jecht, Reluctant Guardian, and Lulu, Stern Guardian, and here we got Riku, Resourceful Guardian.
Resourceful Guardian. Because she steals stuff.
Yeah, well, and she's not a rogue, though. She's an artificer, which is interesting.
Well, because she also makes stuff.
And she breaks stuff.
Yeah. I really like Riku.
I do, too. And I think this is a pretty decent card. Whenever you put one or more counters on a creature until end of turn, that creature can't be blocked by creatures your opponents control. So she's given them gear that helps them get past the opponent. And she's got Steal. 1 and a tap, move a counter from target creature an opponent controls to target creature you control, activate only as a sorcery. So if they've got +1/+1 counters or flying counters or whatever, you can steal them and put them on your guys. And I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Then we get Seymour Flux, the second Seymour card. Yeah. This is kind of gross and intense looking.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the last time you really fight him.
Yeah. The worst. No, the second worst one. The third time is really the worst one. But yeah. Right. Yeah, the final time also sucks. Great music, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Sorry, keep going.
So he's a spirit avatar. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 1 life. If you do, draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on Seymour Flux. So again, he's taking other people's power.
Yeah.
Shalinda got a card. Do you remember Shalinda?
I do, not nearly as well as I remember Owaka. But
fair enough. She's sort of an evangel for the Church of Yu Yevon, and I think wherever you go, she's talking about how great the church is.
Right. The super earnest believer.
Yeah. Kind of a hook, line, and sinker young lady.
Yeah, just preaching the good word of the demon lord of stuff.
Yeah, and so she's a 2/2 with lifelink. She only costs 2, so she's probably a pretty efficient card. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature if its power is less than Shalinda's power. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on Shalinda. So the more people she's got following her, the more powerful she becomes.
Fair enough.
Side quest: play Blitzball.
Yes, please.
At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. At the end of combat on your turn, if a player was dealt 6 or more damage or 6 or more combat damage this turn, transform this enchantment, then attach it to a creature you control. And on the backside, it is World Champion Celestial Weapon.
Cool.
And just like with Excalibur II, this is probably the only way I will ever get to play with this weapon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, fair enough.
So equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has double strike, and it equips for 3. I think this is cool. I don't know how good or useful it is as a Magic card, but I like the story it's telling.
Yeah, same. This one fits really nicely, and I like it. And I like the artwork of Waka's badass weapon there.
Sin gets 2 cards: a black-green-blue Leviathan avatar and a green-blue Leviathan avatar. And I've got a green-blue sea creature, sea monster deck that the second one might go into.
Interesting.
So the first one has, whenever Sin enters or attacks, exile a permanent card from your graveyard at random, then create a tapped token that's a copy of that card. If the exiled card is a land card, repeat this process. So, taking the dead and bringing them back. The second one is, as Sin enters, remove all counters from any number of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Sin enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is twice the number of counters removed this way. Holy moly.
Wow.
When Sin dies, put its counters on target creature you control, then shuffle this card into its owner's library, so even when it dies, it will eventually come back.
Comes back. I like that one.
Yeah, that's, again, so sometimes it's not, it is about how good it is as a playing piece, but also it's about the story the card can tell.
Yeah.
The Sphere Grid gets a card.
Yeah.
I always thought of the Sphere Grid as a metaphor. I didn't really think of it as something that the characters would look at or see.
Sure.
And I'm still not sure that's what this is, but it's kind of what it looks like.
Interesting. Yeah, it does look a little more physically tangible in this artwork here. I agree. I never thought of it as something that they could see.
Anyway, it's a neat looking card, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. Creatures you unlock ability. Creatures you control with +1/+1 counters on them have reach and trample. So the stronger your creatures get, they get a couple abilities, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. And I think it's good that the Sphere Grid is, because it's actually an important part of RPG history. Skill trees are everywhere now, and this really was one of the first ones to hyper-popularize the concept. And really, it was the first of its kind, and so that's a cool bit of video game history in there as well.
I really like that we get a spirit token with the little spirit motes of Final Fantasy X. There are hundreds of cards that make 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, and so to have a Final Fantasy X mote of light being sent to the far plane as one of them, I think is pretty great.
Yeah, cool.
We've got Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum as a control card. Enchant artifact or creature. When this aura enters, tap enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So you're trapping the other summoners and their guardians in the sanctum is a nice bit of flavor for remove this card from being a bother to you for a while.
Yeah. Oh boy, look at this run of stuff we're about to go on.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy X gets 7 summon cards.
Which makes sense because the entire plot is built around the summons.
Right. And most of them are going in my Tom Bombadil Summoner deck.
Fantastic.
Summon Anima, a enchantment creature, Saga Horror.
Yeah.
The first 3 chapters are pain. You draw a card and you lose a life.
Okay.
Chapter 4 is Oblivion. Each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice and loses 3 life. So yeah, that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Summon Bahamut is already the third or fourth most expensive card in the set.
Okay.
For 9 generic, you get a 9/9 enchantment creature, Saga Dragon. The first 2 chapters are... Oh, and it's got flying. The first 2 chapters are destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. The third chapter is draw 2 cards. And the fourth chapter is... This creature deals damage equal to the total mana value of other permanents you control to each opponent.
What? Wow. Well, it does make sense that the King of the Dragons, and a lot of it, there'll be a debate forever about which one's the best. There's another top 10 ranking. I do think the Final Fantasy X one is my personal favorite.
It's
and
pretty
so it makes sense to me that it would be one of the most powerful cards in the entire set.
We get Summon Ixion, a Saga Unicorn. Exile target creature and opponent controls until this saga leaves the battlefield. And then chapters 2 and 3 are put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. You gain 2 life. Not bad.
Yeah.
The Magus Sisters. And they are a saga fairy. What do you think about the Magus Sisters being fairies?
I like it.
Okay.
It's interesting because I don't know what I would. I mean, what magical bug ladies? Right? But the reason I like it is that it ties them in my mind to like Final Fantasy V as well, right? And the other, because the Mega Sisters pop up in other games, not as many as these other characters, but I like the idea that they're some sort of spirit fairy travelers.
And so you could maybe see them if they ever get to do Final Fantasy again, reprinted, same card, but the Final Fantasy V Magus Sisters. And I think that's a good call. I like that too. We talked about Summon Shiva when we first talked about this because she was one of the first ones revealed.
Yeah.
We get Summon Valifor, enchantment creature, Saga Drake, 5/4 flyer. First chapter is each opponent chooses a creature with the greatest mana value among creatures they control. Return those creatures to their owner's hands. And chapters 2 to 4 are tap up to 1 target creature, put a stun counter on it. Not a bad utility creature, I think.
Yeah, much like in the game, not the most powerful, but a useful summon. It would have been fun to see some kind of reference to the moment where Valifor gets to play hero and catch Yuna. But
yeah, we didn't get that one. We got ha 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 ha.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Summon Yojimbo.
Yes, I will.
He's a 5/5 Saga Samurai with Vigilance. The first chapter is exile target artifact, enchantment, or tapped creature an opponent controls. Chapters 2 and 3, until your next turn, creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each of those creatures, which is a classic white ability in Magic. So they've got to pay to attack you.
Gotcha.
And Chapter 4, create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of opponents who control a creature with power 4 or greater. So you get a bunch of mana fixing.
Cool. I feel like there might have been some ways to work some more specific things to Yojimbo in there. Some element of paying him or something to do with the dog. The dog's in the art.
The dog's there. I think that's... So when I first read this card, I had that same thought. I'm not paying Yojimbo to do anything here.
Yeah.
Though I did pay 3 generic and 1 white just to summon him.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of every card in Magic, but
Yeah, sure. It is every card in Magic. So the way I thought of it instead is, in a way, he still has to do with money. He still has to do with paying a tax. Because we call it a tax when you have to do something you would normally be able to do anyway, like attack.
Oh, okay, sure.
So really your opponent has to pay to get through him, in a way.
Gotcha.
And then when he goes away, he gives you money. And so you're right, it's not quite what Yojimbo does in Final Fantasy X. On the other hand, it still has to do with Magic's interpretation of money, which is not nothing.
Okay, no, I like knowing that. That makes me like it better.
We get a bunch of pretty cool lands. These are all reprints, but Sun Petal Grove and Tangled Islet and Temple of Enlightenment, all of which are scenes from various places throughout Spira, and I think that's pretty great. We get to Temple of the False God.
Yeah, what a title for a card.
Yeah. And in Magic, it was first used to refer to Corona, the false god, on Dominaria, but getting to use it here in this particular context, nicely done.
And the flavor text. Oh man. It is better for you to die in hope than live in despair. Let me be your liberator. From Lady Yunalesca during that, the art at that, in that moment, at that place, in that scene where the stuff, false god, Temple of the False God, metal.
Tidus gets 2 cards also.
Good.
So Tidus Blitzball Star is a white-blue human warrior. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on him. Whenever Tidus attacks, tap target creature an opponent controls. Not bad. This is his dominating the field version, right? So
Yeah.
when you talk about maybe you're a little disappointed with Lulu, in Magic, characters who are popular will get multiple cards, and so this is them in this version of things, or this is them at this particular moment, or this is them channeling this power or that power.
Cool.
They don't always. A card doesn't always encompass everything a character can do.
Sure. Yeah, I like that.
Tidus Yuna's Guardian. So remember the others were like Stern Guardian or Cheerful Guardian or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But Tidus is specifically Yuna's Guardian, and I think that's interesting.
Me too.
He also is going to go into my Tom Bombadil Summoner deck.
Cool.
At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may move a counter from target creature you control onto a second target creature you control. So you can take those lore counters off, which means they get to redo chapters. And then whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Do this only once each turn.
Yeah, that's a nice interpretation of his in-battle ability cheer. That's good. I like that.
And now we get yet another card about
Man.
the relationship between Yuna and Tidus. Drew, is this too many cards about the
Nope.
relationship?
Nope. No. It is interesting that it's one from just moments after the other one we were looking at. They're back in the lake and doing the kissy, but nope.
Yeah, and this is a reprint of a pretty good standard
Okay.
Magic card.
Together forever.
Waka, Devoted Guardian. No implicit bigotry in here, which I think is nice.
Yeah.
He gets over it. That's
I was
one
going
of
to
his.
say, to your point about, this is him at the end of his journey, right? This is, what is it? Bartlett says, I'm Spencer Tracy at the end of Who's Coming to Dinner.
So, reach, trample, 4/4. Whenever Waka deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to one target artifact that player controls and put a +1/+1 counter on Waka.
Yeah.
So he still doesn't like Machina.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of your end step, if a counter was put on Waka this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. So he's still very team-oriented.
Love it.
Yuna gets 2 cards.
Yes.
Yuna Grand Summoner, you add 1 mana of any color. When you next cast a creature spell this turn, that creature enters with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever a permanent you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, if it had 1 or more counters on it, you may put that number of +1/+1 counters on target creatures. So when creatures die, she's got a role there. But also your sagas don't stick around, right? Your summon monsters don't stick around, so they will also just constantly be going to the graveyard.
Right.
Yuna, Hope of Spira, and both of these cards are going in my summoner deck. During your turn, Yuna and enchantment creatures you control have Trample, Lifelink, and Ward 2, and at the beginning of your end step, return up to 1 target enchantment creature card from your graveyard to the battle with a finality counter on it, so she can pull the saga creatures back.
Wow. That's awesome. That's great because she really is like the summoner of summoners in Final Fantasy. There have been plenty of great ones. I don't want to say she's but she's the best one.
She is pretty great, and I'm going to have Rydia and Garnet in that deck also.
Oh yeah, no, I shouldn't slight those gals either. They're pretty fantastic, man. That's cool.
Yuna's Decision.
Let's get one more in before we.
Oh
really?
No, we're going to get a couple more in.
2 more.
So Yuna's Decision is choose one. Continue the pilgrimage. Sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card. Then you may put a creature card and or land card from your hand onto the battlefield, or find another way. Return one or more, run or 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. And this is interesting because this is a moment in the story when she makes a decision. But there's not really another decision to make. So this card almost presents a what if.
Like an alternate version of Final Fantasy X, which is awesome. That's really cool.
And then a magic card gets me emotional again, Drew.
I know, I was going to say, I didn't know this was going to happen.
Yuna's Whistle. She learned how to whistle, Drew.
But I know I know that. I didn't even know. I was like, when I first scrolled down and saw that, I was like, oh.
Yeah. So it almost doesn't matter what it does just because it's Yuna's Whistle, but reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. And there's only one creature card you're allowed to bring back with this. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When you reveal a creature card this way, put a X +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the mana value of that card.
Yeah, that is, wow. That is, because she's whistling to call him back.
Yeah.
I'll just say it out loud. Because, yeah, it's...
And then it takes a whole nother sequel to even see if we might be able to be successful.
I was going to say, and in some ways, this card might be invoking 10-2, which is kind of rad because we're not getting any, as you mentioned at the beginning, none of the sequels or spin-offs. No tactics cards, which is, for me, I think the hardest pill to swallow of the things we don't get. But I love this nod to that. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I'm not going to try to make any predictions or anything like that. But Gavin Verhey, who was the lead for Final Fantasy, Magic the Gathering / Final Fantasy, is a big fan. And he's talked openly about, he can't get into details, there are licensing agreements and that sort of thing. But he has said openly that Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is one of his favorite Final Fantasy games of all time. And he is well aware of all the Final Fantasies that did not make it into this set.
Yeah. Well, one can always hope.
We've got one last card here, Zanarkand, Ancient Metropolis. It is a land-town. And I really like that towns are now a land type. And it's one of the adventure lands. So it's got, you can cast this spell when it's in your hand, and then cards that have gone on adventure, you can then play them later. So early in the game, it's a land it enters tapped, and then it taps for a green. And later in the game, you can pay 4 and a green to cast Lasting Faith. And you'll notice how they spelled faith.
Yeah.
Create a 1/1 colorless hero creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on it for each land you control.
Cool. And I love that the artwork here depicts Zanarkand, by the way, both before or at its height end as ruins, as it were.
Right. So who do you suppose that 1/1 colorless hero creature token is?
Right. So you're creating a dream person, right?
Right.
You're inventing a 1/1 beginning of the game level 1 hero character. Could be Tidus, could be Jecht.
Could be anybody.
Could be any hero that could come from the dream world to save Spira.
And there are a lot of cards in this set that generate that token. 1/1 colorless, so without any other identity, and no other creature types either. It's not a human hero. It's just a hero.
Oh, man.
Because there are lots of other types of heroes in Final Fantasy, right? So there's a Final Fantasy 14 card that generates a bunch of 1/1 heroes. Those equipment we talked about for Final Fantasy 1 create a 1/1 colorless hero, and then if the equipment goes on them, they get that creature type and that ability. So I really like that as a mechanic for Final Fantasy. I think that's really cool, and I think it really works well on this card.
Yeah. The Warriors of Light.
All right, that's it for Final Fantasy X. Join us next time when we admit how much we don't know Final Fantasy XI.
True story. Bye.